Hello, we are live. I'm Veronica.
Does Jesus
Who are
have
you?
our attention yet?
Who are you?
I'm Tim. This is Veronica. Our ministry is called Crack Clay, Building an Affair-Proof Marriage God's Way. Has God's gotten your attention yet? You know, as a child, my dad would, my God as a child was sports. The Indians and the Browns and the Cavaliers and just playing. And that was my sport. But Dad would tell me back then, someone's going to win, someone's going to lose, but I'm winning. And God's team, you're a winner. But God's got our attention. Listen to this,
So
guys.
I reposted this and shared this on Tim's page. This is not my original post. Lisa Floyd, my friend Lisa Floyd, posted this, and she said it was a repost. But let me just read it to you.
Awesome.
In 3 short months, just like he did with the plagues of Egypt, God has taken away everything we worship. God said, you want to worship athletes? I will shut down the stadiums. You want to worship musicians? I will shut down civic centers. You want to worship actors? I will shut down theaters. You want to worship money? I will shut down the economy and collapse the stock market. You don't want to go to church and worship me? Then I'll make it where you can't go to church. If my people who are called by my name will humble themselves and pray and seek my face and turn from their wicked ways, then I will hear from heaven and will forgive their sin and will heal their land. Maybe we don't need a vaccine. Maybe we need to take this time of isolation from the distractions of the world and have a personal revival where we focus on the only thing in the world that really matters, Jesus. And just as I was reading that, I was thinking about, you're right. I think that we make people, humans, make idols of lots of things, right? Things that now we can't do or we can't watch, like sports and movies and concerts. But there's also a bigger lesson, like it talked about in that post about, well, you don't want to go to church and worship me, well, I'll make it where you can't. But how about those who do go, but we just take it for granted? We take it for granted, and we go because it's routine to go. It's what we get up and we do, but we don't really worship him. We just show up because that's what we do, but we don't really feel it. We don't worship him. And I just think that as I was reading that just came to me, what about the people who do want to go to church, but they don't really, they just do it out of a habit and not to really worship the Savior. And so now he's making it so that we can't go to church. We can't do any of those things.
And the church in the walls is not the building.
It's the people
in the church.
It's the people in the church.
And today with our sensory class, we were able to go on Zoom.
We had our Zoom
see
class.
them and how great it was to see them.
And pray with them.
And her and I are huggers. We love to hug people, so we're probably better good. We're staying home. But guys, people are hurting all over. Our family's important to us. I think we have time now to go to that estranged family member you haven't seen in a while and call them up and talk to them. Talk about what's really important. And that's Jesus. That's the most important thing in the world. If we could get ourselves to heaven, if we could, by what we do, then why would God send his only son to earth to die on the tree? Why would he do that? The answer is we can't get ourselves to heaven. Jesus paved the way for getting to heaven, for dying on the cross for my sin, her sin, and your sin. And the only way we can get to heaven is to accept that and ask him into our heart. Because I'm righteous, not by what I've done, but what Jesus did for me. So when I asked him into my heart 13 years ago, Jesus, I'm a sinner. I'm sorry for running from you. Thanks for running me down and saving me. I give my life to you. I repent of my sin, Jesus. Come into my heart and save me. And he did 13 years ago. That is what we need to get out of here alive. Because one day, either something's gonna happen to us. We don't know what's gonna happen tomorrow or tonight or today, or he's gonna come back. And the only thing the most important thing is that Timothy Joel Bratton Sr., his name is written in the Lamb's Book of Life.
Well, we're not.
And you can only get your name in that book by saying yes to Jesus.
Well, we are not getting out of here alive. One thing is for sure.
We're not getting out of here alive. We're all going to die.
We are all going to die one day, whether
We're
it's
all gonna die.
more sooner from this, or it could be from a heart attack. I mean, you can walk out and have a car accident. At some point, we're all going to die. The question is, where are you going to spend your eternity?
Where are you going to spend eternity?
Where are you going to spend eternity?
One or two places, heaven or hell. There's no in between. There's no purgatory.
It's
not mentioned in the Bible. It's either heaven or hell where you're going to spend eternity. It's all in the Bible. It's not what Tim Bratton says. It's what my best friend, Jesus, says in the Bible. The Bible has all the answers.
That's his tablet, but
that's his book. On there. He wrote it for us. His love letter. His love letter. No greater love than for someone to lay down their life for another person. That's what my Jesus did for me. So there's a lot of religions, but only one person died and rose from the dead. His name is Jesus. I'm going with that guy.
So
but we haven't said that. Our ministry, Crack Clay, is mostly for married couples to build a fair-proof marriage God's way.
Or if you're divorced or single and looking, you know
absolutely.
What? I believe in.
We're divorced.
And not from each other.
4 times.
No.
I'm divorced 4 times.
You're divorced.
Well, you're my 4th wife.
Okay.
I'm sorry, that's right.
Yeah, I'm divorced once.
I'm glad we got
anyway.
that
Anyway,
no surprises today, right, baby? Okay,
anyway, so guys, I just think that
amen.
It's been a week, hasn't it?
God's got our attention.
It has been a week. God certainly has got our attention. What did we just watch? We just watched the Michael W. Smith concert.
That was awesome.
Live on Facebook. It was amazing. It was amazing. If you didn't watch it, go back. I'm sure he kept up the videos, so you can go back and watch it. It was beautiful, beautiful concert.
So spend time with the family. Yesterday we went mountain climbing. Today we went running on track and hitting golf balls. And
there's this great, you know what?
Spend time with the family.
My husband, if we ever went on like a martial law kind of quarantine, we're in trouble, because anybody who knows my husband knows that he is one hyper young man, and to actually
you said young man.
I did. So actually to stay in that house is a very difficult thing. So we have to find safe outings that are still socially distant appropriate. Does that make sense? Social distant appropriate?
Yeah.
Anyway, so yesterday we took the boys and one of their friends mountain climbing.
We hiked all the way up to the top.
Of Charlton, which is like 3,586 feet.
Yeah. I do it every 40 years. I went to Liberty 40 years ago. Yeah, I did that, and I did this 40 years later.
And my legs are still paying the price for it. But then we found this great place. They would just drive golf balls for like
golf balls. Yeah, it was $5 for a whole bucket.
$5 for a bucket of 80 balls.
That
all
was
4 of us got to hit balls.
That
it was
fun.
Then the Liberty track, nobody's there. It's really so sad though,
because
they're moving out. It's so
what
sad.
was Tim Allen talking about?
Oh, you want to get to the lesson.
Women have all these choices, and men have one.
Okay, all
Work
right.
or go to jail.
Girls,
what's up with that?
Ladies, this one's for you.
Okay,
so we did the boys. We talked to them.
Yeah,
we talked to the boys, and we did the couples. All the things that we women need to, how we need to be shown our love, right?
Right.
Now it's for the women about how our men need to be shown respect. Oh, and let me tell you, my husband has been very enthusiastic about this section.
Well,
but
go right ahead, baby.
I'm hoping he's checking. Oh yeah, she does that. She does that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
go ahead, baby.
Okay, so the acronym for women was couples. For men, it's chairs. So the C is where we're going to start, which is conquest.
Conquest sounds
conquest. So that's understanding how your men need the conquest of work and achievement. So a man is naturally, it's his inborn desire for a man to go out and conquer the world through the challenges of the world, through his work and achievement.
Where's that come from?
It comes from Adam.
Okay.
God created men that way, and you see it back in the Garden of Eden. I mean, even in the Garden of Eden, Adam had work. There were no free handouts. No free handouts. He had everything provided for him, but he had to work it. Thank you, Rod. He says, "Stay safe in this house." But he had to work the garden,
Right?
Right. He had the vegetables if he worked the garden. So it was all there for him, but he had to work it. And so from the very beginning of time, God made man to work, and so what happens in women, if you understand how important your husband's work is to him, then you will take a giant step towards respect and honor. Now remember, respect and honor is how they feel love. We don't not showing them that that's how we show them that we love them, is by showing them our respect and our honor. Sometimes we have a really hard time understanding that because we value love, but they value respect. So how he spells love is what? R-E-S-P-E-C-T.
Respect.
Can you sing it?
So if I got fired from a job and I came home and I said, "Honey, I'm so demoralized and terrible. I lost my job." What's the last thing I want to hear?
I should not say that's okay, baby, because at least you have me, we have each other, and we're going to be good together.
Oh, that's great, honey, but I don't want to hear that.
He doesn't want to hear that.
Why?
We may want to hear, no matter what, I'm going to love you, but they don't want to hear that.
That would be like saying if you came home and you were pregnant, you said you came home and you lost your baby, and I said, "Well, honey, that's great, but we still love each other."
Yeah, that wouldn't go over very well.
No, it wouldn't.
Because there's still a
What's
loss.
the correlation
There's still
of
a
that?
loss. Women are made to, their work is normally the children. Even if they choose to work outside of the home, women are still the predominant caregivers. They are drawn to raising the children. That's the way God made them, where men were created for work. And so you have to kind of equate a woman's role in the home to his role outside of the home, and how that gives us confidence and them confidence.
Right.
And so I guess you didn't like my singing R-E-S-P-E-C-T. Okay, so anyway, in his eyes, his job is so important. He identifies with what he does. It is part of the very warp and woof of his being. What does that mean exactly? The warp and woof of his being, honey? What does that mean? Because he really liked it when they said that in here, the warp and woof of his being.
That's because we want to conquer. We want to go out there and work, and we want to hunt, and even as kids, as a mom, don't try to tell your child, don't play with sticks and guns, pretend they're guns and stuff like that, because that's who we are. That's how God made us. We all have the same father, Adam, and we all came from him as men. Okay, and Adam was a hunter, and he was a worker. And he wanted to go out there and provide for his family. That's who we are. That's what we want to do.
So it's not an option.
Well, we always ask other men. One thing, and it's probably wrong, but we always ask them, "How you doing, buddy? Nice to meet you. My name's Tim." So what do you do?
The next question is
That's one of the first questions we had. That's just men. That's
so
when women ask other women, they go, "What do you do? How many children do you have? Tell me about them."
Tell
really?
me about
your children.
Husband, your
Now,
children.
having said that, that's not. There's exceptions to that.
So,
go ahead.
So, help me when the Lord made Eve, and she was to be Adam's helpmeet. Did you know this was interesting for me? Helpmeet means actually a help answering to him. Isn't that interesting? A help answering to him. So the whole premise of him having leadership in the home comes all the way back to Adam and Eve, and her being Adam's helpmeet, which again means a help answering to him, Adam. And so women were created for the man's sake, not the other way around. The man was not created for her sake, she was created for his sake. And during courtship, what's it like during courtship? We just goo goo gaga over them. We give them those loving eyes.
I'll do anything
and
you want, sweetie.
When we show them how much we love them and respect them, and
I'll
everything
support
they
you.
do is wonderful, and everything they do is so wonderful, and we love everything they do, and they can do no wrong. and we just love everything about them. But then after marriage, it all changes, right?
Why is that?
Well, why is that? Because we get into life and we start to then doubt our husbands, or we look down on them, but that's a whole other thing. That's definitely not showing respect. But a deep-seated need to be involved, men have a deep-seated need to be involved in adventure and work. And where are we at? Men are called to be the warrior, the hunter, right? The instability. This was even in secular psychology. That's called instrumentality of the male, and that means that the instrumentality of the male is the same as what we just talked about how men we're created to be the doer, the hunter. Like Tim was talking about the example of moms trying to tell their kids not to play with sticks, or not to use things and make them. They can't play with guns. They can't play with toy guns. That talks about in the book about a mom wouldn't let her son play with anything that resembled a gun when he was little, and then one day he took his grilled cheese sandwich and made it into the shape of a gun, and she said, "I give up."
Give up.
Well, he's like, "Don't give up, because that's the way God made him. God made boys to be hunters and warriors, and I've always said, from the time I had my first child, I saw the difference in men and boys in the way that they just came into the world, because I had 3 boys, right? And I was an only little girl. And that if men weren't created to be warriors, we would still be hailing the king or the queen in England. So that's they're naturally born that way.
So many women have no idea of the importance men put on their work. If a wife even implies unknowingly that her husband's work is not that important, she has just called him a loser. That's the importance man puts on their career.
That's right.
Their work. They do that. That's important to them. Mm-hmm. So that's important for their lovely wife to what for that? Respect that, right?
Mm-hmm. To make them feel
Tell your husband, honey, thank you for working.
Now, sometimes the woman is the provider.
Yeah, I know that. But I understand that. But a woman, if a woman provides, a woman wants that choice to provide. They want that choice. A woman wants their man to be the breadwinner.
But that's exactly the point. They want the choice.
They want the choice.
They don't want to be forced into being the breadwinner. Most women do not want to be forced into being the breadwinner. They want the choice of whether they're going to stay home and raise the children, or if they're going to go out and have a career. That should be their choice. So lots of smart women, when they're dating and deciding who they're going to marry, they are evaluating the prospect of men, if they're going to be able to provide for her and their children, to give her the ability to choose. Because what happens when she has to provide for the family, Tim, you know how we talked about if women need to feel loved, does her insecurity about being loved by her husband go up or go down?
It goes up, because sometimes a man might marry a woman that makes more money than him, and then this woman might think, I wonder if he's married to me because of what I do, my career. So her insecurities probably, in most cases, go up, thinking maybe that's the case. And
so she thinks that he thinks of her as a meal ticket, and not that he truly loves her. So she's not having filled
it's kind of out of whack
in
like
that
that
Marriage.
Right.
So also,
I don't think God designed it that way.
No.
Adam and Eve. Remember how Adam and Eve in the garden, her first love was the children, and he was work.
Right.
It's important for the man. The man is so important for the children. I'm not saying that.
Oh, yeah, the men are very important as fathers, but he's usually called to the field where she usually, even if she's a successful woman, as we talked about, I think, last week, still she feels called to the family.
Right.
And he instinctively knows that he needs to be providing, and she instinctively knows what the kids need. He does not instinctively know what the kids need typically. I mean, there are those outliers, right? But that is not normal. That's not the majority of men. So women usually aren't typically looking to have a baby and then hand them off to their husband while they go back to work, but that's her choice.
Or
Again.
daycare.
So,
which is not maybe a good thing.
and so women, what you can do for your husband to make him feel respected is thank him. Thank him for,
Right.
and what I'm going to the page at the end. Thank him for what he does. Thank him
Praise
for
him
working.
for that. Thank you, husband. I'm able to be at home. I'm able to work at home.
So the
Which
joke
is
from Tim Allen came from that section about women working outside of the home. They should have the choice, where it says comedian Tim Allen has observed that women have all kinds of choices. Men have just one.
Work or jail.
And sometimes it's true.
Right. It's gotta work.
So women, thank your husband. Make him know that you care for him, you admire him by thanking him. Leave him a note.
Write a little note.
Write a note to him.
You'd be shocked if you can respect
Send
him.
him a text during the day.
What
leave
you're
him a
gonna
note.
get.
If you make
back
his
from him.
lunch, if you make a lunch, leave it in his pillow.
It's
pillow.
Men would rather have you respect him than love him.
Right, that's how you spell love.
We
R-E-S-P-E-C-T.
exactly.
But
we
I'm not
love women for respect, and they respect us for love, and it has to go both ways. Okay.
So, but sometimes men become some men are workaholics, aren't they?
Right, let me read that.
Aren't some men workaholics?
They are. Despite feminism's cries, a wife's best qualities as the one who tenderly cares for her own children. 1 Thessalonians 2:7.
Okay, so honey.
You mean something can be a workaholic, and that's an issue too. That's wrong. That's wrong. It's got to be a balance.
Mm-hmm.
Just like our kids, we have to love them and discipline them. There has to be a balance between working and being there for the family.
Right.
Because they depend on you so much, not just for making the bread, but going out and playing with the kids and your wife and taking care of her and supporting her and loving her.
So sometimes, though, because you guys are so identify with what you do that maybe you do a little too much of it, and then she starts to feel neglected.
Right.
And like
And
his
that
work
works
is
both
taken away
ways
from
with
the
the
family.
That works with the husband too. That
Right.
She puts the husband first. We talk about priorities: God, each other, then the kids, and our career. Go ahead.
Okay. Right. So if that is the case in your home, a good-willed husband, you should be able to have a conversation with them, not nagging, but have a conversation about how it makes you feel, and maybe compromise about what he's doing, or maybe it's just a short period of time because things are really tough at work right now. I know that we all go through that when we work. Sometimes things get really intense for a few weeks, and then you can go back down. So just talk it over.
And this is not an easy time, guys, with people being laid off, and it's just a rough time. God's got our attention, guys. But what are some things?
Okay, so your husband
Can appreciate
will
his desire to
feel you appreciate his desire to work and achieve when you tell him verbally or in writing that you value his work efforts. You express your faith in him related to his chosen field. You listen to his work stories as closely as you expect him to listen to your accounts of what happens in the family. You see yourself as his helpmate and counterpart and talk with him about this whenever possible. You allow him to dream as you did when you were courting. You don't dishonor or subtly criticize his work in the field to get him to show more love in the family. So
I'm married up, guys. I'm married up. She's a beautiful woman, but not only that, she's the smartest, beautiful woman I've ever met. She is so intelligent. She helps me out. You talk about a help me. She's my Eve.
Mm-hmm. Well, I hope I'm not leading you to deception.
You're my Eve, too. And we're going to get that later. We're going to get into some awesome chapters about this, guys, about the man in the chairs in each title. You're going to love it.
So,
we're praying for you guys,
tuned.
praying for you. Let us know we can pray for you. Tell us your name, because we got sticking this together. The most important thing from all of this is that you know Jesus. He has our attention. Okay? He taken everything of this world away from us, basically, to put our eyes onto him. 9/11, people came back to Jesus. There was revival. then it started going away again because we got back to normal. Let's keep it this way. Tell your friends about Jesus. He is the only answer, the only escape. There's no hope in this world. The only hope is in Jesus. I hope you've asked him into your heart.
And I hope, you know what,
He's
why
knocking.
you can't go to work
He's knocking.
and you're...
Open the door.
Why you can't go to work, you can't go to the movies, you can't go to a concert, you can't watch a new sporting
But you can
event
go to this Bible.
Online, you
You
can't
go to
watch
this
a new
Bible.
sporting event. You can watch. I caught my husband the other night watching a 1979 rerun of a baseball game.
Yeah.
But you know what? No better time than the present to then to renew your relationship with the Lord or develop one if you've never done
And
it.
spend time with your wife and your
And
kids.
spend time with your family. Build some memories. That there's no excuse. There's no excuses. There's not much else you can do. You've been taken down to the bare minimum now. So renew your relationships, your family,
We're learning
your-
all along
your
that
God,
we are
with God.
completely
our God.
we're completely resilient on God.
Rely
on Jesus.
Rely on Jesus.
He's showing us right now, isn't he?
And take care, and if you are a Christian, I tell you, show Jesus' love to your neighbors and to other people
We
during
knocked on
this time.
neighbors today.
And show, be the light, be the hands and feet of Jesus for the people who can't get out, and don't be crazy out there buying the last loaf of bread when there are people who can't get out and who are older, who are high risk, who need it. Take it to them if you've done that.
And don't let your wife stay, 6 feet away from you. Embrace her, love her. Okay, guys, as one. Marriage as one,
Yes.
not two. One with God in the middle. Okay, we love you guys.
Love you guys. Have a
Love
good
you,
week. Praying for you. Praying for everybody. And praying for our nation right now and our world.